The views expressed here are solely those of the host and do not represent the positions of any sponsors, affiliates, or institutions. I Don't Subscribe does not serve as a medium for salvation, leadership, or advocacy on behalf of others. An individual's internal compass is their most reliable guide. These conversations serve as waypoints along one's journey. For this reason, I encourage listeners to critically examine all narratives presented, including those on this show. An individual journey is uniquely theirs, and it should be navigated with confidence and intuition. Retain what resonates, release what does not. Let's converse. I want you to consider Thomas, a chief strategy officer at a Fortune 500 company. At 2 a.m., while competitors are deep in sleep, he's dissecting market patterns with surgical focus. His board calls it obsession. His team calls it genius. But what if this capability wasn't innate? What if it was forged through early adaptation? Welcome to another episode of the I Don't Subscribe with yours truly, Ibrahim Daffae. Thank you to the returning listeners and thank you to my first time listeners. This podcast is where we will dismantle assumptions about leadership. And today's focus will be the neural weaponry. Now, before you write this off as just another self help concept, let me be clear. What follows isn't inspiration, it's more like a field manual for the brain. I would also like to take a moment to say that this episode is made possible by House of Lone Wolf. For leaders ready to weaponize their neural architecture, visit houseoflonewolf.com. That is houseoflonewolf.com. Let's talk about the battlefield of the early adaptation. Because I want you to imagine a 9-year-old Thomas navigating a household where unpredictability rules. His amygdala, the brain's threat detector, fires relentlessly. According to research published by Stanford medicine investigators, neural pathways transmit sensations in complex interconnected ways. So subsequently, their work replicate nervous pathways in lab settings, which gave people new insight into how these transmission systems even develop and adapt. The late Bruce McEwen and his colleagues at Rockefeller University suggested that the brain's hippocampal region responds significantly to stress hormones like cortisol. So you have to just look at this as another fascinating avenue of exploration into how people brains really adapt to environmental pressure. This isn't a universal truth. It's just one fascinating lens among many. Let's explore what it could mean. Cross-disciplinary work from institutions like Stanford Center for Advanced Study in Behavioral Science proposes an intriguing idea. Neural pathways built during adversity might later process complex data differently. Think of it as cognitive jujitsu, using the weight of the past to flip challenges into advantages. But let's be clear, this isn't destiny, it's possibility. Before we go further, let's just take a step back and imagine or even yet consider, what if your flaws are actually neural tools waiting to be sharpened? So let's see what the weaponization process look like. For leaders like Thomas, 3 neural adaptations might emerge. One is going to be the hyper-vigilance, as a strategic foresight studies in developmental psychobiology. They observed that individuals with early unpredictability often develop heightened pattern recognition. One experiment at Cambridge Cognition and Brain Sciences Unit also noted such subjects detect market anomalies 0.3 seconds faster than controls. The second adaptation would be the emotional detachment as tactical calibration. Analysis and trends in cognitive science suggest, though not proven, that suppressed emotional reactivity in high stakes environment might correlate with prefrontal cortex activation patterns, which resembles what an elite athlete would describe as a flow state. The third neural adaptation would be risk aversion. As contingency mapping researchers at MIT's Brain and Cognitive Sciences Department are now exploring how early exposure to consequential decisions might thicken gray matter in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and that is the brain contingency planner. I know you're tired of hearing all of the jargon. What does this look like in the boardroom? A deployment of protocols must be established. Thomas did not overcome his past, he redeployed it. First step, neural cartography. Map your stress responses when pressure hits. Does your brain default to one of these three things? The scenario simulations in your orbitofrontal cortex, threat neutralization in your amygdala, or data triangulation in your angular gyrus, part of your brain. Then the second step would be calibrated ignition. If uncertainty triggers your threat response, then one must redirect that energy. Use it to interrogate supply chain vulnerabilities instead of self doubt. Then the third step will be to sustain reinforcement. During the Karolinska Institute trial, they found out that executives who paired neural redirection with somatic markers like intentional breathing improved decision accuracy by 22% under duress. So, again, I would say this isn't self help, this is neural re engineering, and it requires ruthless honesty. I want you to conduct a live audit with me now. Recall a recent high stake decision. Trace the origin of your dominant neural response. Was it shaped by childhood problem solving? Was it shaped by academic competition? Was it shaped by survival instinct? Leave your comment, tag the show, share your insight, and the most compelling stories will shape our next episode. Know that your experiences aren't just data points. They are the raw material for neural reinvention that add vital dimension to this conversation. You dig? So as I prepare to close, in episode 1, we explored rewiring your brain. Today, we've armed you with neural weaponry. This isn't about erasing one's history. This is about harnessing one's voltage. See, because the executive changing the game aren't the ones with perfect childhoods. They are the ones who took their neural scars and forged them into blades. You did? So consider this. What if your greatest liability is actually your most classified asset? Let that marinate, in the words of the late John Witherspoon. But before I sign off, I want to give a special thanks again to House of Lone Wolf for making this conversation possible. And I want you to remember that the opportunity always outweighs the problem when you see the code beneath the chaos. I'm Ibrahim Daffae, And I don't subscribe because niggas be lying. And that's what set me apart. You dig?